Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to show how recipes work in regards to probably what we've heard a lot about how they auto update when you change group selections, and how, yes, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, how dependent they are on universal, global, and selective presets, how they work with recipe presets to queue recipes, just kind of giving a quick overlook on all that. So if we take a look at this 3D window right here, we've got, it's a total of 16 Vipers. We're calling that our house rig. Basically, like if we had other stuff programmed, that's what we have already programmed. So if I were to click this spots group right here, which is the group that I've used for all of my recipes, both the recipe presets and the queue recipes, all of them reference this group. So if I click that, you'll see that all 16 Vipers, 8 on the mid stage, or representing mid stage, and 8 on the upstage. So we can go through, and based on what I've already programmed, here's like a simple dim chase. Yeah, we can see that they're auto taking. This is also this is a selective. Recipe presets turn selective after you've made group selections. Let me show you what I mean by that. So if we hit edit setting, so this is just a recipe preset. It does not actually have any information stored in it. What's happened is, because I've made a selection and told that selection what I want it to do under values, that's what makes it selective. So we can exit out of that. Same deal for this color preset here. Now, this is one thing I want to show you guys with how universal, global, and selective presets kind of separate themselves when it comes to recipes. So if I open this up, we'll see. I'll show you why I've got 3 groups here in a second. But basically, in the recipe preset, anything that's in the spots group that correlates to the global or selective, if I'm not mistaken, and please feel free to throw in the comments if I'm wrong, anything that's, as you go down the line of recipe lines, that it adds to the priority level, right? So anything further down has a higher priority. So what I've done here, let's say this cyan universal preset right here was actually at the bottom, well then all of the Vipers would be doing a cyan color preset. So I've done it in the opposite way, just to show kind of how it breaks itself out. So all 3 of these are the exact same spots group. However, the Vipers were stored with this magenta color preset, and then just the mid-stage Vipers were stored with this yellow preset. So actually, if we were to get out of this, I can show you. So here's the universal cyan. We can see that everything lights up, even the fixtures I'm going to get to that are, further upstage than the upstage Vipers. I'll show you what those are for here in a minute. But because it's universal, anything that can color mix to cyan will automatically go to cyan. Global, I only stored that with the Vipers. So, I could store the magenta on just these mid-stage, store that as global, and now anything that is a Viper will show magenta. And then this selective yellow, I only stored, like you can see how it highlights those, or not highlights, but selects those. I only stored those on the mid-stage Vipers. So that is why this preset comes out the way it does. So just a quick show that these recipe presets work the exact same as queue recipes. Again, all it's doing, if I right click and open that, all it's doing is taking the group and telling it to do, it's taking the group selection and giving it a value, telling it, hey, do this preset. Same way for the colors. I just need to do this to make them come on, and I've got them on a fade just to show this is where they're going to start to break up. So they'll both do the cyan, the magenta, but then only the mid stage will do the yellow. So here's where we get to the whole concept of updating groups that are used in recipes. So we've got this spots group that I've used in all of my group selections for recipe presets and queue recipes. So let's say we're at a new venue, we're somewhere new. We've patched in new fixtures, which for us today are going to be these Force S spots from Chauvet. They're also, they're not some on mid stage, some on down. They're also not the same number from left to right. Let's say it's all upstage and it's 12 of them. Again, super hypothetical, but let's just say this is what it is. What we can do, there's a couple different methods, but I'm just going to show you this one, for the sake of ease of consistency. If I were to take this group, and we know that, you always want to have your groups aligned, like centered with each other. So the same way, like in this selection grid where it's showing, 0, 0 going to 0, 8 for the mid stage, and then 0, 1 grid location 0, 1. Excuse me. No, it's 1, 0. Right here to 8 grid spaces over this way. The same way that those are centered with each other, we want to center our incoming spots with those as well. That way everything all acts correctly together. So what we're going to do, because we know it's 12, that'd be 2 extra on each side as compared to the 8. So I'm going to go 1, 2. I'm going to select this group, and then we're going to store in our spots group, again, the reference group. And because we're only adding information, we're not changing or taking away information, we can select merge right here. So now, if I do this dimmer chase recipe preset, we can see, so it's having the mid stage vipers, upstage vipers, and our new Force S spots. They're all doing it. Now this is where it starts to change. If I go full on this is where you start to see that breakdown. Again, universal means any fixture that can perform those attributes you have stored will do it. Global means only the same fixture type will do that. Will be able to do what that preset is wanting the fixture to do. And then selective will only do the selected fixtures at the time that you made the preset. So that's why we're seeing this mid-stage Viper group only do the yellow, upstage Viper group only do the magenta, and this Force S spot group do the cyan. Again, just to show that both recipe presets and key recipes perform the same way, we can do this dim chase. We can see the same way that the recipe preset, performed this action. Now you can see it. Now it's just coming from a sequence instead of a preset, but the same output action is happening, right? Once again, I went through this color fade. I'm going to turn them all on. So here in a second, they'll fade. They'll all go to cyan first because the first, I didn't show you this yet. First queue is them at cyan. Again, spot group, universal cyan. The second one, if I turn off auto scroll, second one is the same group selection, but with a global preset. So only the fixtures that were of the same fixture type as the fixtures that were used when I made the preset will actually perform that action. And then same deal for this third queue, which is same group selection, spot selection, and then the selective yellow color preset. So if we look at it, we'll kind of see them start to break down. Again, we see the Force S spots only do the cyan, the upstage Vipers can only do the magenta after cyan, And then these mid-stage Vipers are able to do each color preset that's being pushed through the Q recipe because it is available for each type of preset store type, the universal, global, and selective. I know that's a lot of words for how this works. I really just wanted to give a demonstration on what it means when you make updates. We can even do one more where, again, the same way that we can even watch it change live. So let's say we only have the mid-stage, we're changing the group entirely, and we only want these mid-stage Vipers to perform, any of the color actions, the dimmer chase, whatever. We can take that mid-stage selection, store on our spots, and again, because we're basically taking away all the other fixture selection information, right? We're taking away the upstage group and the Force S spot group. Because of that, we can't do merge because we don't want to merge information to other information that's already there. We're taking stuff out. So we're going to hit overwrite. And even, there we go, live, it automatically updated to where now only, I can even have both of these run at the same time, only the mid-stage Vipers are performing anything to do with this spot group. I know that's a lot of words. I hope that this was kind of help break it down for you. Showing how this is what people mean when recipes are great, because they'll auto update whenever you make changes to the group. There is a time and place for them. Luckily, with how MA3 operates, there's a lot of room for the time and place for it to work the way you want it to. But again, it just really comes down to how you want to use it, how it can best work for you, for your need cases, all that type of stuff. So anyway, that is how updating recipes with their groups work.